Thank you, Bill, and welcome everybody to another edition of Eavesdropping. I'm Spencer Wise, and we thank you for joining wherever you join us from across the breadth and scope of this great nation, parts of Canada and parts of Mexico. And tonight we get a chance to eavesdrop with Alan Lazarus. His journey started with loss. His father died in a car accident when Alan was just 2 years old. And then at 26, he found himself in a nearly fatal crash of his own, a moment that forced him to confront everything he thought he knew about success, identity, and purpose. From the outside, he was already successful, but on the inside, he was grappling with pain, regret, and a lifetime of abandonment wounds. And that reckoning sparked a relentless pursuit of personal development that transformed his life. And today, Alan is the founder and CEO of Next Level University, a global top 100 podcasts and education platform that's dedicated to helping people unlock their unique potential across health, wealth, and love. With a global team of 19 and 2,200 episodes, 1 million listens, and an audience in 180 plus countries. Well, we got to do a better job here. Alan has built one of the most consistent personal growth engines on the planet. Welcome to Eavesdropping, Alan.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that awesome intro. It is really cool to be here and really, really cool to... I was thinking about this. You and I took a little bathroom break before we hit record, and I was thinking about this and I was thinking to myself, there's nothing cooler than achieving a dream. And I think way back 11 years ago after a car accident, I dreamed of spreading personal development into the world through platforms like this. So thank you so much for having me. In the beginning, it was crickets, but I'm grateful that things are happening.
Yeah, well, it's happening a lot. 1 million listens. Maybe you can give us some advice. But before we go there, if you don't mind, I'd love to go back to the accidents. In your bio, you mentioned both of the accidents, the one where you lost your father at age 2 and then your own at 26. I suppose you don't remember a whole lot about that first one.
Correct. An engineer, so everything's numbers. But 1991, I was born in 1988 in Massachusetts, born and raised. And my father was 28. My mom was 31. I had an older sister who was 6, and I was almost 3. So it was 1991, and my birth father, John McCorkle, he was part of a big family. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. He was one of 6, and he suddenly died in a car accident. And that was just a tough start. I had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. His name was Steve Lazarus. And I took his last name, I think, around age 7. He left my family at 14. And I sort of became the man of the house at 14. That same year, hardest year of my life, didn't know this at the time. Took his entire extended family with him, never seen or spoken to a single one of them since. My sister moved out that same year. My mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy. We get kind of ostracized from her side of the family. And we don't really associate much with the McCorkles anymore, my birth father's side, because we were kind of trying to be the Lazaruses. And so that was kind of the abandonment part of the intro. I had 2 trauma responses to that. I didn't know this at the time. None of this was conscious, but in hindsight, it's very clear. One was fawn. You become this sort of social chameleon. Fit in, fit in, fit in. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family. But then behind the scenes, when no one was around, it was fight. It was aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. And so I got straight A's through all of high school. I got all the scholarships and financial aid I could get my hands on. I got into one of the best engineering schools in the entire world. It was $50,000 a year back then. So when my stepdad left, I didn't think I could go because it was so expensive. I got my master's in business and my computer engineering bachelor's, and then I was off to the races at a bunch of tech companies. I did very, very well. Then I got in my car accident. And so when I was 26, my fault, I was up in New Hampshire, head-on collision. I hit a lift-kitted pickup truck head-on at 30 miles an hour, Fortunately, I was driving a 2004 Volkswagen Passat that I used to call the tank, because back then I was big into finance and stocks and I didn't want to buy a depreciating asset. So I bought this older car for $5,000 cash and it saved my life. So thank you,
Not
Volkswagen.
not for safety, but it just worked out that way.
Yeah, it did. It just happened to. And so fortunately, no one was hurt, because if they were, it would have been my fault. I crossed the double yellows and I was supposed to yield, but I didn't. The yield sign was covered by the snowbanks up in New Hampshire, dark winter night, 2015. And I'm going to be 37 in 3 days, actually. So this is 11 years ago now. And that was when I found personal development, self-improvement, and personal growth. And that's when I started a company called Lazarus LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. And it was basically built on this idea of, I was a straight A student. Why didn't I learn anything about habits or goals or personal development or self-improvement or personal growth and fitness and nutrition and all these things? So now I kind of, Next Level University is basically still that, which is trying to spread and fill in the gaps of the professional education system.
What's so interesting for me, and I certainly don't want to belabor it, but what was it about the two accidents that catalyzed you, at least your next step?
Well, I think it's my dad died at 28 in a car. And when I was 26, I almost did.
I see.
And so for me, that was the second chance my dad never got. And so I knew, and I had a ton of regret. And a lot of people say, well, what do you mean? And you were such a great kid and all this stuff. Listen, I just wasn't maxed out. I got straight A's in high school and I did very well, but the truth of the matter is I didn't have to try that hard. I was very gifted intellectually. And even though you're not allowed to say that socially, people don't like when you talk anything highly of yourself at all. But the truth is, I was not maxed out. I rested on talent. I got straight A's in high school and I did well in college and I did well in corporate, but I wasn't leaving it all on the court. I was only scratching the surface of my true potential. And I was not healthy as well as I could have been. I didn't take my health as seriously as I should have. And so I turned that all around, and now we do health, wealth, and love. So what I always say in my speeches, podcasts, all that stuff, there's no one, I believe, that if they were sincere and honest with themselves, that doesn't want to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love. And success is something everyone wants, but not everyone knows how to build and knows how to create. And I think we all want to reach our full potential, and we all have unique potential. So I've decided to dedicate my life to that. And now I do coaching, training, and podcasting in that space.
How long after that accident did you start down this path, and how did you get started?
Well, so two answers to that. Number one is right away. And number two is it obviously was incremental over time. I quit my corporate job and I had a lot of money in the stock market. And a lot of money is relative, right? So I had $150,000 in a Vanguard account and all different ETFs and index funds and some stocks too. And I basically quit my corporate job. I worked for a company called Cognex. They sold industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities all across the world. They do machine vision, like eyes of robotics. And I was an inside sales engineer, outside sales engineer, and I just quit. And I was like, I'm done. I'm going to start my own thing, which was smart and dumb. But luckily I had all that money, so I was able to use that and liquidate to essentially survive until I could thrive. And I think the podcast game and starting your own company, I always use this metaphor because I coach a bunch of business owners now.
So Alan, today you are CEO of Next Level University. And when exactly did that start? And tell us exactly how you go about helping people with that.
Yeah, I love it. So it's similar to the sort of two answers. It started right after the car accident in sort of my heart and my mind. Lazarus LLC is still at the core and the epicenter of what has become Next Level University. So Lazarus LLC was what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know to sort of, I wanted to bring personal development to the masses and to the school systems. And that was, in one hand, really amazing. And on the other hand, really unintelligent because it probably isn't going to happen. Then my business partner and I had a podcast underneath that company called Conversations Change Lives. And similar to the eavesdropping concept, it was be a fly on the wall, and I'm going to interview a nurse, and I'm going to interview an engineer, and I'm going to interview them, and I'm going to say, what did you think it was going to be like when you were in college versus what it was really like? Because to me, it made no sense to have kids make a lifelong decision without understanding what the actual job is going to look like. And so what I thought it would be like versus what it was like as an engineer, what I thought it was going to be like versus what it was like as a sales engineer is very different. So I figured, okay, be a fly on the wall for great conversations with great people. Kevin was my first guest, my business partner now. I was his first guest. He had a podcast called the Hyperconscious Podcast. If you look up hyperconscious in the dictionary or Google it, it comes up as acutely aware. So it was change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you live. I was his first guest. He was my first guest. We teamed up 20 weeks with the worst titled podcast of all time, which was the Hyperconscious Podcast meets Conversations Change Lives podcast.
The content was good, but the name needed some work.
It needed work.
Yeah.
So we went all in on the Hyperconscious Podcast. We did that for years. And that was 9 years ago when we started and teamed up, coming up on 9 years in March. So March of 2026 will be 9 years. So it was March of 2017. And then eventually we rebranded to what's known as now Next Level University. And now we have Next Level University, Podcast Growth University, and Business Growth University. So it's level up yourself, level up your podcast, level up your business. Now we work with 117 podcasters and business owners from all over the world. And we have, between all of the platforms we have, I think I track this every day. I track metrics every day. It's like 1.4 million people we've reached. And it's growing. I remember the first year we only got 1,054 listens the entire first year. Now we get more than that in a day. So it's really crazy what can happen when you scale and compound and improve over time.
I'm thrilled that you would join us here on Eavesdropping. So what types of subjects can people learn at Next Level University?
So we have a book club. We do master classes every month. Those are both free, totally free. The podcast Next Level University is supposed to be 1% improvement in your pocket from anywhere on the planet, completely free. And we do an episode every single day. We have over 2,200 episodes. And it's Kevin and I contemplating. We used to be personal development and success. Now we're success and personal development. So we used to be a podcast talking about personal development and sometimes talking about success principles. Now we are a podcast about success who also talks about personal development principles. But essentially what it is next level you, next level YOU, meaning not next level Kevin, not next level Alan, but next level you. And what you learn is habits and metrics and how to set goals and how to track the metrics toward those goals and what skills you should be developing and emotional intelligence and intellectual quotient and IQ, EQ. It's really personal development, professional development, and social development, and learning how to be successful, not just in your career, but also in your life. And I also have a podcast called the Conscious Couples Podcast with my beautiful girlfriend and future wife. And we've been coaching couples for 5 years too. So it's about courage and vulnerability and humility and character development. And what we've found is when you dedicate your life to reaching your own unique potential, usually success is a byproduct. You can imagine someone who focuses on getting a little bit better every single day. Usually success is a byproduct of that.
And your focus is to kind of bring this awareness and this ability to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's humble and has work ethic. So we've found over the years, we have a bunch of communities and sub-communities. We have a fitness group. We have a 20-person team, as I mentioned. And essentially, I have this actually written on my whiteboard over here. It's a X, Y, and Z axis. And if you have level 10 humility and level 10 work ethic, we're going to bring level 10 strategy and you're going to be very successful. But if you are entitled and arrogant and you don't have work ethic and you want huge rewards for minimal effort, we're not going to be able to help you at all because Kevin and I came from nothing. He lost his father too. His father left. He didn't meet his father till he was 27. We both grew up with two women. So I was raised by my mom and my older sister. He was raised by his mom and his Mima. And we both are two young kids from a small town, small-minded town, who had big dreams and came from nothing really. And fortunately, we were born in a free country. But other than that, I mean, we really did come from nothing. And so that's my favorite part of it is we didn't start on third base. I mean, we just are the ultimate tryhards of what's possible when you work really hard, you stay really consistent, you stay really disciplined, and you have the humility to not be above anything. We always talk about how we're in the trenches with our team. And even if you're a leader, you can never fully leave the trenches. You got to lead by example.
Not to dismiss this, though, we started the interview with you acknowledging things were easy for you in school. So there is an intellectual part of this, right? So you
Yeah, for sure.
work hard, but you're smart as well. So, how do you assess who you can work with? Love the X, Y, Z axis kind of picture that you painted. But is there a questionnaire, or how do you determine whether someone would be a fit to work with you?
So I smile because I had to learn this the hard way, and I created a filter actually. So I call it Unmedsai. It's an acronym. Anyone, and this is for unique to us. I think everyone, especially in business, should find their own. Like, who are the people that you just don't mesh with?
Hmm.
And I think every business owner, but every person should find they're absolutely people and they're absolutely not people. Because as much as it saddens me to say this, I actually think most of our pain and suffering actually comes from being around the wrong people. And I don't think it takes long to figure that out. Once it's said, even though it took me 30 years to figure that out. So Unmedsai is unstable, naive, UN, unstable, naive, manipulative, entitled, delusional, significance driven, and immature. So Unmedsai is unstable, naive, manipulative, entitled, significance driven, and immature. And so if you have those 6 traits, I'm going to never come anywhere near you, essentially. And we use green, yellow, red. So I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to be here. I'm going to send my team after this a green because you are humble and respectful and seem to have a good heart. So, but if you showed up arrogant, entitled, and immature, I would basically flag you as red and we would just never connect again. We all have to create filters in our lives because where I grew up, very tough childhood. You got to be careful. You got to be careful who you spend time with.
What about do-overs, though, when you're running your filters?
What do you mean?
Let's say someone comes to you and wants to work with you, and they're having a bad day, and your acronym identifies them as naive or significance driven or any of the other elements, but they were just having a bad day. Does that happen?
Well, no. And the reason why is because I think you can tell when it's a part of someone's identity and their character versus they're having a bad day. Not to mention it's an Unmedsai score. So it's not like, I mean, I have some of those character traits,
Right.
but 0 to 10 on each one, and then you divide by 6.
I
So
see.
it's a spectrum. So if you have a high, like if you're 7 to 10, and again, it's a meta-analysis, it's something my brain does. If you're having a bad day, I'll know. But again,
Right.
I know that sounds arrogant. Let me explain. I have 11,691 coaching sessions,
No, it
trainings, and
sounds feeling.
podcasts.
It sounds feeling. It's like you do it by feeling, right?
When you hone this, you can tell. But it's like in poker. When you play a lot of poker, you can tell when someone's bluffing. I've gotten really, really, really good at being able to tell when someone's bluffing and pretending to care and have a good heart versus actually having one.
Yeah. So you have 19 people on your team. Do you have to go through that assessment with everyone yourself, or is that something that, a team member could do as well?
Yeah, we teach it at our company. So we have 20 people now, and I'm very grateful. And it's essentially part of our culture now. And so everyone, and they always ask me too, because this happened. The reason we created this score is I had a team member who hoodwinked me. And yeah, so you smile because we've all been hoodwinked, right?
We've all been there, right?
Yeah, we've all been hoodwinked. And I was done with it. And I said, she's the last one who's ever getting through. No more Trojan horses in the castle. And since then, we've done a really good job. But I taught it to everybody so that we could protect ourselves from snakes like that.
Well, you'd be really good, I think, in the HR departments of a bunch of companies. Do people try to hire you for that as well?
I do anticipate that in my future. And I do think that every company should have a filtration system. But the problem is people can bluff, like you mentioned. So I appreciate that. That's not my work's focus. However, what I will say, I coach 23 business owners currently, and some of them have small teams, some of them have no teams, and some of them have huge teams. And I do encourage them to find out who their absolutely people are and who their absolutely not people are. And for me, I've got it broken down to the simplest possible form, besides the Unmedsai stuff, is if you have high humility and high work ethic, we are going to get along well, and I'll bring the strategies. But the danger zones aren't actually just people with low humility and low work ethic. It's actually people who have high work ethic and low humility. So
Hmm.
high work ethic and low humility means I can't coach you because you think you know everything. High humility with low work ethic means I can't coach you because you're not going to implement, even though you're going to listen. And so it's taken 35 years to come up with that simple formula of XYZ. To me, high humility, high work ethic, and high strategy is the key to success. I'll give you an example. We have someone, a subcontractor, freelancer that we work with, and she wanted 100. And for the work that she's trying to do, I said, we can't quote. We can't even hit margin. We're going to go out of business. No. And what you're doing is not that sophisticated. So you need to do some market research and no, you're not worth that. And people get mad. They're like, what do you mean? I'm worth more than that. No, it's not about you. It's about the marketplace. And we can't get the business because they're going to go somewhere else. If Apple was like, you know what, I think I want to charge 12 grand for the iPhone, everyone would go buy an Android. So part of it is just naive. She doesn't know business. The other part is she is entitled. She thinks she's better than she is, and someone needs to kindly and respectfully share that.
But they come to you with the high work ethic and humility. You can teach them the rest of it. You can teach them the strategy.
Yep, exactly.
So right now at Next Level University, what does the pipeline look like? I would assume you have people lined up to try and work with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So we have a 16-layer business model. The whole top is free. Follow us on social media, that's free. Going on other podcasts is free. Our podcasts are free. But on our podcast, we advertise our own products and services. So we jump in the middle of the show and say, hey, if you're enjoying this episode, we have a Dreamliner. It's a journal that we use to stay on point. We do habit tracking. We had an app at one point. There's a book club. We do master classes every month. And then what you find is when you get to know these people and you come to book club every week, eventually you end up realizing you want to coach. And it's super affordable. So I have some people who are once a week, some people who are biweekly, some people who are monthly. I have one person who's 5 times a week. Imagine 5 hours a week just dialing in. And then one is 3 and one is 2. So I have 23 clients currently. We also have a podcast production company. So we produce 70 podcasts.
There, our staff could use a little bit of help around there.
If you need help, reach out. We will do just this. We do what we do best, so you can do what you do best.
So, Ellen, how do people get in touch with you, or can you give us the website so people, or a link to the podcast so people who want to explore it and to see whether or not they could possibly be a fit with you?
Yeah, thank you. So I always say this. People say not all those who wander are lost. And what I say is a lot of people who wander actually are lost and they're pretending they're not. But deep down, they want direction and they want to feel like their future's brighter. And I think that fulfillment comes from working toward a bigger, better, brighter future, not just for yourself, but also for others. So if you feel lost and you're ready to change, Next Level University is going to be a place where you can do that. We have habit trackers and metrics, and we have communities and sub-communities and fitness and all this stuff. And most of it's free. Most of it's free. But if you don't have high work ethic and high humility, do not reach out under any circumstance. But if you do have high humility and work ethic, the website is nextleveluniverse.com. nextleveluniverse.com, spelled just like it sounds. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Those are the 3 that I use. It will actually be me. It won't be an AI bot or my EA. It'll be me. You can also email me, alan@nextleveluniverse.com, and ultimately just provide context because we all get a lot of spam. But if you have a sincere interest in reaching your full potential, there is no better place. And that's what we're about. And we're no longer bashful about it. I think for a long time we were trying to help everybody.
Yeah.
And we were martyrs. We not only did we almost go out of business, but Kevin and I were working, 7 days a week, every week there's something called self-imposed servitude to thankless people. And we were very guilty of that. So we don't do that anymore. So if you show up and be respectful and humble with a sincere interest to work, you're going to love it here.
So, and then the time that we have left. So what if people don't really know what their full potential is? Is that okay as well?
Yeah, of course.
Find that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you said that. We actually did an episode on that earlier today.
Oh, okay.
So it drops tomorrow, and we did a 2-part episode on what it means to reach your full potential, because Kevin said, Alan, you always believed in yourself and, were gifted or whatever intellectually. And I don't know if people know what their full potential is. And I said, let's do an episode on it. So we did 2 episodes on it, and it is kind of a rabbit hole when you unpack it, because we all have potential, but if you don't believe in it, you won't invest in it, and if you don't invest in it, it doesn't come true. So there's this conundrum, last piece. If you don't believe in yourself, you won't set goals. But if you don't set goals, you're not going to believe in yourself because you're not going to prove to yourself what you're capable of. So we find ourselves in these conundrums, and then we inflate and pretend we're awesome when deep down we feel worthless. So, and all that's ego and vanity and status and stuff we don't deal with anymore. So yeah, if you come with the humility piece, we will help you find out what your true potential actually is.
Yeah. Is there an age that this is best for, or at least a stage of one's career? And I guess the unasked question is, can you help an old guy like me?
I appreciate you, man. So I have a client who's 68 years old, and she's like, I have 12 more years in my career. I want to keep cranking. I'm not done yet. And so the answer is, honestly, so Kevin had suicidal ideation when he was in his mid 20s. I had my car accident, and we found each other in a hopeless place. And we both rebuilt ourselves and our life from the ground up. And so there is no age limit. There is a humility and work ethic limit.
Well, that's great. That's a wonderful story. I hope you will come back and be a friend of the show. I know you're very busy and you have your own podcast, but I think the eavesdroppers would like to check in with you from time to time. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I would love to come back. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.